Hello, it's me, Canoopsy, and LG's G5 is LG's best smartphone ever. It improves on every aspect of the G4 and adds interesting things like dual cameras and modularity. It has features that smartphones of the future are rumored to have, but is this the future of smartphones? Let's take a look. First, the design. The LG G5 is a complete and total revamp of last year's G4. The G4 was made entirely of plastic, while the G5 is now made of a metal unibody. It doesn't feel like metal though, since it is essentially coated in plastic, but it still feels nice enough in the hand, but the edges are a bit sharp. There's also a few breaks in the chamfered edges that make it look like it's chipped, but those are actually antenna cutouts. It sort of breaks up the design, but it isn't that big of a deal. LG has also moved the volume controls and SIM tray that features a microSD card slot to the side of the phone, and at the bottom, LG has adopted a USB-C port for charging and a decent sounding speaker. The back has a dual camera system that looks like it protrudes a lot, but in reality it doesn't, and below that is a fingerprint scanner that instantly reads your fingerprints when you place a finger on it. The front looks somewhat like the LG G2 and features a slight curve near the top of the handset. Besides dual cameras, the design is fairly basic overall, but it's well built and I personally like it. But let's talk about the modularity. At the side of the phone, you'll notice a small button, and this is what's used to remove the bottom and give you access to modularity. Just push the button and pull off the bottom, and this takes out the battery as well. Doing this will of course turn off the phone, and it takes less than 30 seconds to power it back on again. For some people when connected, the bottom portion of the phone has been plagued by build quality issues, but for me, it seems to be fine, at least for now. Now what about those modules you keep hearing about? Well, there's two of them for now. There's a Bang & Olufsen module for hi-fi audio and a camera grip that gives you manual controls at your fingertips and an enhanced battery. LG has also hinted at future modules, but for now, such a small selection limits the excitement of modularity on this phone. Let's talk about that display. The G5 has a 5.3-inch 2560 by 1440 LCD display with 544 pixels per inch, and it looks really great. Blacks are great for an LCD display, colors are vibrant and accurate, but the display seems rather dim. I often had it on full brightness, which wasn't even enough most of the time. It's quite a dim display for sure. It also has an always-on feature similar to the Galaxy S7, which shows a signature or the time, but lacks the customization found on the S7. Under the hood, this phone is packing the latest and greatest specifications. We have the Snapdragon 820, Adreno 530 GPU, 4GB of RAM, and a 2800 mAh battery. With all these specifications, it performs like an absolute boss. For daily performance, it's very snappy, and I've seen really no lag at all. But then again, it is 2016, and if you're buying a flagship phone, chances are that it's going to be very, very fast. If you're gaming with this phone, you can also expect great performance. With the usual Asphalt 8 first level test, it performs smooth as butter, and for any other games, it can definitely handle it. Basically with these specs, you're going to get some of the best performance around. The G5 does tend to get a bit warm during use compared to an iPhone or Galaxy S7, but it's not too major and it hasn't really limited any performance for me. For battery life, I've been able to get through a full day of usage, no problem, and even a few hours the next day. So expect good battery life, but nothing groundbreaking or outstanding. But when your battery dies, you have two options. First, you can plug the phone in and use a quick charge 3 adapter and USB-C cable, and it takes about an hour to get from 0 to 100 or 0 to 80 in about 40 minutes. Second, what makes this smartphone unique from others is that you can quickly swap out your battery and easily replace it. Once the bottom is off, just pull really hard on the battery from the bottom portion and it will eventually pop off. The battery is held in by two little hooks, and while it feels sturdy, in the future it may break easily, so be careful. LG sells batteries separately for around $75 US, but just like other batteries for older LG phones, the price will go down, especially with third-party batteries. So everything so far is pretty great, but what about the software? The software is really only the standout weak portion of the phone. It's much improved from previous versions of LG software, but it still needs some work. The G5 runs Android 6.0.1 and visually it's great. Icons, colors, animations, and the general look is nice. Much improved from older LG phones and looks better in some cases than Samsung software. Well, at least simpler. But besides the looks, in my opinion, there's three negatives with this version of LG's software. First, the bloatware. There's lots of apps you'll likely never even touch, plus LG's own apps, so there's really lots of apps. You can't delete them, but thankfully you can hide them. Second, no app drawer as you've heard, which is disappointing, but it's easy to get back with LG's Home 4.0 launcher or launcher of your choice. but at the very least, LG could have at least had a setting to turn it back on. And lastly, LG removed split screen multitasking, which is really disappointing. But besides those 3 issues, the software isn't as bad as I've made it sound. Last, but definitely not least, the cameras. There's actually 3 of them total. First, the 8 megapixel front camera takes some fantastic selfies, but turn off that beauty mode, it's absolutely horrifying. The main camera is 16 megapixels with an f1.8 aperture, and the second camera is a wide-angle 8 megapixel shooter with an f2.4 aperture. The main camera takes amazing shots with quick autofocus. There's accurate colors, great sharpness and clarity, and low light performance is decent, but shots will be grainy and muddy if it's at night or in very dark conditions. When you zoom in, there's a bit of over-sharpening, but shots are generally great. 4K video is good too. Stabilization still has some jello-y movements to it, and low light performance isn't the best, but that's expected. The 8 megapixel camera with its 135 degree wide angle lens is an awesome feature, and compared to the main camera, you get a lot more in the shot. It's not as good quality as the main camera, and you can definitely tell which camera a photo was shot on. But when you just need a wider angle, it's great to have. To conclude, the LG G5 is an exciting phone to see, but sadly, LG isn't giving the G5 all of the potential it could have. The dual camera system is excellent, but it should be able to do more. And the modular features are cool, but I just don't see consumers using them too often, especially when there's just so few and not really interesting ones at this time. There's also some really strange marketing for this product which may actually push customers away. But besides all of that, this phone is generally awesome. It has a great display, a nice design, lots of expandable features, and awesome cameras. If you want a really good phone that's not from Samsung or Apple, or want a phone with features different from the rest, or just need that removable battery, this one is a great choice. And a huge shout out to TELUS for providing this phone for review, so if you want to buy one of these for yourself, click the link in the description down below. What do you think of the LG G5? Leave a comment down below with your thoughts. Like the video if you liked it, and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you for watching. There's a lot of Lego. That's all I have to say. When I say lots of Lego, I mean there's lots of Lego.